Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome once again to the fastest podcast on the airwaves today. It's the Cat's Corner. I am your co-host, the manager of future Hall of Famers, Big Shug, along with the four-time world karate champion, Ernest, the Cat Miller, and we are joined today by the one and the only Mr. Erik Watts. What's up?
What's happening? What you talking about, baby?
Hey, man, y'all two embarrassing me right now.
Hey, I'm the four-time Street Fighter champ on that Nintendo. Yeah, I beat Ernest Miller so many times.
Y'all got that what's up? Come on, man, y'all. Come on. I know you guys as grown-ups, as mature fathers of beautiful kids, and here you all acting like teenagers. What's up with you guys?
Hey, can we go back to the wrestler when you came out as a Sheiky gimmick on the TV? Because my girlfriend hadn't seen that movie, and she's like, "Hey, who are you going to do this podcast with?" So I got her son and I had to watch The Wrestler the other night, and I said, "That dude." And
go ahead, Erik.
Yeah, she goes, he lives in Atlanta. I said, yeah. He's not from, Afghanistan or nothing.
He's not from Iran.
Iran. Hey, Iran. But I do know somebody who is from Iran.
The Sheik?
It's the Sheik.
Come on.
Anyway.
Hey, man, you know what? It's good to have you, man, and finally get you on. And, we got a lot of questions for you. Anything you don't want to answer, just tell us shut the hell up, and we'll move to the next one.
I'm just glad that I finally quit getting bumped from real celebrities, and you guys got so desperate, you actually sent me a link. Because you promised me to be on the show about 20 times, and I had to beg you for a link. Hey, listen, I can show your people.
Erik, stop. Erik,
don't
stop.
You love me?
Stop here. I'm gonna hang this stuff up. Don't make me look.
I feel like this is like Mike Epps and Shannon Sharp right here.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah, don't make me look bad on my own show. I'm trying to be serious. Normally I'll be right there with you, but right now I'm trying to be professional.
You got it, baby. I'll do the job. Let's do it.
So Big Erik, since wrestling, what have you been doing? Tell us about what you're doing now, your business and everything.
We're Resite. Of course we offer all-inclusive site work. We're Resite. Of course we have a dynamic site crew. We're Resite. We have secure foundations. We're Resite. Of course we're good stewards. Resite redefines the way site work is done. Contact us at resite.com. It's re-site.com.
Man, I was doing business consulting mainly. I had some companies. I sold the companies, a paint company, a turnkey company. Then I started doing some business consulting because having pro wrestling on your resume and owning your own companies, I am underqualified for any Fortune 500 company and overqualified for McDonald's. So I had to become a business consultant. Which I loved. During that time, I helped out a few businesses, and then I wanted to just take some time off. I got custody of my kids, and I wanted to take some time off and enjoy them. So, and then my daughter, I've been spending a lot of times going up and back and forth to the Naval Academy because that's where she's playing basketball. She's cybersecurity. This is her senior year. She has got, she has been selected for the Marine Corps. Which is a huge honor. That's what she wanted. Awesome. So I've been doing that. In between that time, I opened up another company just to enjoy and have fun with called Positively Processing. It's a merchant processing company, and basically I don't have a sales team, don't want it, don't need it. I just do word of mouth. I take people that have businesses, and a lot of people that have businesses, the one thing they do not like is paying for credit card fees. And so I just take all the knowledge and I save them some money. I make a little bit of money and everyone's happy.
Well,
It's
man,
awesome.
listen. So I see you've been busy, and that's great, man. That's great. Now let me ask you this: in between your wrestling time career and then your now business, did you take any downtime to where you just had to figure things out? Like, what do I want to do moving forward? Or did you just go right into the business?
Well, man, that's a great question. It was kind of crazy. I came out of college highly decorated, not just in sports, but in academics. And I was born an entrepreneur. My first business, I was at 12 years old. I was raised in a family of entrepreneurs. My dad, my mom, they all had businesses. And so I'm rocking and rolling, doing my thing. When wrestling was over, I had two companies, but I went through a bad situation and had a divorce. And in that scenario, lawyers get involved, right? It's better to liquidate things and then make everything even and figure yourself out. At that
Whoa,
point,
whoa! Don't tell on yourself now. Don't.
no,
Don't
I'm
tell on
saying
yourself.
at that point, what ends up happening
Okay.
as you're going through stuff, that's when the dust settles and you go, so now what I want to do. Now
Okay.
what do I want to do? And
All
so
right.
yeah, there for a while I was wanting to maybe go and try to get with a Fortune 500 company or do something, big, Home Depot or Georgia Pacific or whatever. And now this will be telling on myself. I put a resume together, and realistically, in the way that human resource companies looked, I was accomplished, but it didn't mean that I had the acumen for the position. Have you served 6 years as a regional manager? Have you been top in sales? I went on a Home Depot. I did. I went on a Home Depot and I had the job. But I went on an interview, and on my second interview, the guy goes, well, Mr. Watts, let me ask you something. So if you were in front of a sales team, okay, we don't see a lot of sales, but of course you own your own company. So of course we know how to sell. How are you going to motivate our sales team? I said, very easy. I'm going to ask the first man or woman who wants to get up on their underwear, oil up on TV in front of 100 million people and sell the fact that someone is whooping your ass that isn't even touching you realistically. That is sales. Can your people do it? I thought snot went out of this guy's mouth. He goes, I've never heard anyone say anything like that. He goes, and I would love it. He goes, but we might not be able to say that here at Home Depot. I said, well, hey, you were just asking me what I would ask to qualify my sales team,
Now I got a question to go along with that. How much of your wrestling career made it easy to transition into your business career? Because when people hear that, hey, I was a former professional wrestler, that seems like it can hurt you, or sometimes it'll help you.
You're 100% right. I went on interviews in which I would get this. Oh, so you're a pro wrestler. I don't really watch that. I mean, but you know what I'm saying? Like this Hulk Hogan guy, and all of a sudden they name like 50 wrestlers, and you're like, oh, okay, they like Shug, they're marking out, that's cool. And I'm like, okay. And then before you know it, you're in an interview for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And by the time you leave, that person didn't ask you one qualifying question on why you wanted the position or what made you special. And they would get caught up in the interview. And I bet you they felt the same way, like, oh, hey, hold on. I like the guy. I didn't ask him what, how his skills match our company and would help us. So it was a deterrent. So then I started saying, how can I take pro wrestling off of my resume?
Wow.
Because it was a complete distraction.
A detriment.
It was, but the problem is, with the internet, people and human resource people will then start looking you up. And then something else that's not the best is when you get in that situation, and I'm not talking about, hey, am I trying to get a job as a server at X, Y, or Z restaurant? I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about I'm coming in wanting to be a regional manager or a vice president or a product rep. Okay, you're talking about 6-figure income type things with stock options. That human resource department may put in Erik Watts, and then all of a sudden that human resource person that's not a wrestling fan says, Erik Watts attacks Arn Anderson in parking lot and is arrested. Mr. Watts, have you been a felon? No. Have you ever hurt anyone? No. Well, there's a guy named Arn Anderson you beat up in a parking lot. I'm like, okay, I guess you're not a wrestling fan. So I'll be damned.
I did that every Monday for a month, pal.
Yeah. So people that are tearing you down on the sheets or something like that, they couldn't decipher between what was wrestling and not wrestling. And also when you left off wrestling, when human resources did, they go, well, he did pro wrestle for X number of years too. And then it's like, okay, so what are you trying to hide? Why didn't you bring that up? Well, I didn't bring it up, dummy, because the last 15 people I sat with, once it came up, we didn't do an interview, right? So it was, and that's what kind of pushed me to the point where I'm like, hold on just a second. I know business. I've got a degree in it. I've got a real degree in it, as being in business since 12 years old, being around pro wrestling, being around my mother's health food store, being around the t-shirt store, being around our marketing department, being through our rental property department, working time at our airport, at Watts Air in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I got a little experience, bro, and if you know Cowboy Bill Watts, I never started anywhere but janitor at any of those companies. It was ground up, and so I had all that experience and I had all that knowledge. Plus I had 2 very successful businesses. And I'm like, I need to find people that are struggling in business, that have a great product or great service, but they don't know how to be a successful business. So one lead led to another. And what ended up happening is people would then brag to their friends, hey, this guy came in and he's turning my business around. And they go, hey, when he's done with you, can he come work for me? And so I never did an interview again. I pretty much knew the next place I was going when I was done with the place I was at. And so that, my friend, was a true blessing because yes, in college, I went to business school and went through my master's program. But realistically, where I learned was hard knocks, selling merchandise or any of the companies and businesses, along with trying to be a standout athlete, because I wanted a scholarship. I wanted to go to college. Right. And my dad had the same agreement with me as I did my kids. I think Shaquille O'Neal said this, man, and I cried laughing. Shaq was doing they asked him, they said, hey, I heard you were talking to your kids the other day, Shaq. And Shaq's like, yeah, I was talking about kids. And they go, what'd your kids ask you? They looked at me and they said, Daddy, aren't we wealthy? And Shaq goes, oh, no. I am very, very wealthy. You're broke. So let me say this. My son, he was well taken care of through high school. It's up to him to get through college. It's up to him to take care of his cars. It's up to him to pay his rent. My daughter too. Now, my daughter went to the Naval Academy and she had many scholarships. So yes, and she earned that. That's great. But I'm not paying their cell phone bills. I'm not paying their car. I'm not paying their insurance. It's time for you to learn, man. Well, once you go, and that's how my dad taught me, and that's how I taught them. And man, what a great lesson. What a beautiful lesson.
Well, that was great, man. And so going back to people recognizing you when you go in to apply for stuff, it's like you said, sometimes kind of take their minds away from what you're there for, but sometimes it's a good icebreaker too. When I go to these karate schools and I want to get some business with them, and and they don't know who I am, then once they look me up and they were like, "Oh, you're a pro wrestler." Oh, I remember these days. So it go both ways. But
amen.
Let me hold you up 1 second. Hey, Big Ray, you see underneath your name right there, you got Zoom user. People need to know who you are. You Big Shug. So next time when it's that fill in your name, put your name in, Ray. Stop being difficult.
I was scared because I thought it was a drug, like he was a drug user, a Zoom user. And
I use Zoom all the time.
I was gonna do a GoFundMe page so
I
we can
need
get
that.
help.
I need that.
Oh, yeah.
You need to put
I got a quick question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Listen, how was it being the starting quarterback for the Cardinals there in Louisville?
Man, I it was crazy because my first start was sold out in the Horseshoe, Ohio State on ESPN, right?
Absolutely.
Right. So, you pretty much cannot play on a different set. And I was blessed to have a quarterback whisperer, Howard Schnellenberger. I think they have now put him in, I don't know how many Hall of Fames and named streets after him.
He deserves it. He deserves it.
University of Miami, Louisville, the Louisville football complex is the Schnellenberger complex, right? And so to be around a mad scientist, and let me tell you, bro, I wasn't originally going to Louisville. I was going somewhere else. And
didn't you want to go to Oklahoma, obviously, because that's where?
No, I did not. That it was Oklahoma wanted me, but okay. So in my scenario, playing football, I was all-state defense and I was all-state quarterback. I was also ranked highest in punting. So coming from Oklahoma at the time was a wishbone quarterback kind of thing.
Holloway, all that, yeah.
Yes. I let me say this. Ask me my 40 time. What do I run?
Let me guess. Let me hold on. Let me guess. Because I've seen you walk. I've seen you run. I'd say your 40 time had to be about a 4.8 or 4.9.
Okay, Shug, give it to me. Ask me, baby.
I would go 4.7.
No, ask me the question.
What was your 40 time?
I'm tall. My arm. I have got a very strong arm.
You do.
No, I'm telling you right now, like in the 40, my coach used to do my 40 time using a sand dial thing, like turn it up.
We sands of the hourglass.
We did it by grains of sand because we didn't want to offend any. Hey, Ernest Givens of Houston Oilers.
I remember him, yeah.
Yeah. Ernest Givens, Big Armstrong. Now, those guys were at Louisville, but they were prior to me. So here comes Ernest Givens, little dude. I heard 4.34, 4.34, 4.29, 40. I heard it all, right? And I knew he was fast. Let me explain something to you. So as Ernest knows, I'm not much of a talker. I'm a little shy. And so I might have come up to him as a freshman, and because I was there in the summer before I was even a freshman, because that's how Howard Schnellenberger did his quarterbacks. He said, "Eric, I know you're supposed to play in the All-State Bowl, the All-City Bowl, and really the Oil Bowl is the biggest, where they take the best of Texas and Oklahoma, and that's what you play your career for." And Coach Schnellenberger goes, "You are not going to any bowls. The day you graduate, you are to be in summer school." I said, "Sir, but that's what I worked so hard for in high school." He goes, "No, you didn't. You worked so hard for in high school to come to a college so you could be a Heisman Trophy winner. Does that make a dang bit of sense if you get hurt in any of those bowl games that don't mean anything?" I go, "Yes, sir. I'll be at school." So Ernest was there, and I was telling her, "I heard you're fast, man, but I want to see how fast you are." He said, "Well, that's easy, Erik Watts." I go, "You know my name?" He goes, "I heard about you already. Let's go to the field." And I'm like, "Okay, let's go to the field. Listen to me. As God is my witness, we lined up on the end zone. Big Armstrong went to the 40-yard line. He said, 'Eric, go up 10 yards. I said, "I know you're fast, but you're not that fast." He turned around and beat me in the 40 running backwards.
And you had a 10-yard head start.
And I had a 10-yard head start.
Now, How fast was your 40? Because you still ain't gave us that. Now I want to hear that number.
No, look, honestly, I could run like a 4.3 to the 30-yard mark.
Yeah.
I was a 4.3 30 guy, not a 4.3 40 guy. Yeah. No, I don't know. But I was big and strong, so I didn't have to worry about that.
See, but back in the day, a little while before all these fast quarterbacks, all the quarterback needed was a strong arm. If you had a big, strong cannon, that's all you needed to play quarterback.
And that height to look over the line, right?
Yes, exactly. Look over the line, right.
But you see how that game has changed. We saw it in the Super Bowl. You know what I'm saying? Like the game has changed, and Mahomes and so many of these guys, they make their own gaps.
No. They run. Michael Vick started the whole thing. I feel. I don't feel like the whole time Michael Vick was here in Atlanta, I don't remember him running it not one play. He made up the plays. He'll run around and I just don't remember him running plays, but he was successful at moving the ball down the field.
Yeah, we call him a sandlot quarterback.
Sandlot.
Like, hey, you do this, and we didn't care, right?
Yeah.
Right. But here's the deal. My jaw used to drop watching Michael Vick, but that is not duplicatable, and it cannot stay successful on a team, because a team kind of has to know what you're doing. And that's why I'm saying you've got guys now, you got Aaron, you've got big guys out there, but their recruiters are no longer saying, are you at least 6'3" or higher? Recruiters aren't saying, can you throw your deep ball at least 60 yards, right? They're not saying that at all. To me, I literally could take a ball and throw it behind my back 60 yards. Behind my back. When the NFL came and I was messing around throwing the ball, there was no doubt they were highly blown away. But I also, when I transferred schools my last 2 years, it just so happens that I went to a place called Tulsa Metro Christian Academy. And Tulsa Metro Christian Academy was also the home to the Oklahoma Outlaws. And everyone knew that I had the strongest arm in the state, in the whatever. I was a gunslinger. And I went out to practice one day, my first day there, and I met this gentleman that America didn't know much because he was in Canada. And on that day, this man, we started throwing. And we got to about 72 yards, throwing 75 yards, and that was kind of peeking me out a little bit. He goes, Eric, drop on back to that goal line. I go, what? I said, drop back to the goal line. I said, sir, I can't throw it that far. He goes, I got the ball. He took a one-step drop, and his feet were on the goal line. So he was 2 yards back, threw the ball to me, and I was standing on the goal line. His name was Doug Williams.
Oh, yeah. The great Doug Williams. Yeah. He could throw that ball. He could throw that ball.
Yeah. And when, on my summers, a few years, I would go to Stanford and do I would do a football camp at Stanford. Well, it just so happened, I don't know how it happened. They're the only ones that would have 3-day practices, full pads. And I loved going. You had the top of the top athletes. Well, I never made the third practice because the coach's son would come in for a week to throw the ball with me. And so the coach's name was Jack Elway. His son just happened to be John. So John Elway. Let me tell you something. John would bring brand new footballs, and he had a guy to catch his footballs. I was a guy catching Elways. I'm telling you, my hands would start bleeding a little bit because those new laces. The spin on his ball was so fast, he could throw it. And I was known, my receivers in high school, we call it crosses. They go, hey, watch, you gave me a few crosses last night. A cross is when you throw the ball so hard that it hits them in the pad. And the end of a football, right, it will leave a cross on your chest, a little cross on your chest, right? Or sometimes it would break the shoestrings on the pads, And I wasn't trying to hurt anyone because you can hurt receivers, like break their fingers. Bro, I a lot of people thought I could throw hard. I could give you 20 people could throw harder than me. I mean, I was a baby compared to some of those guys.
So let me ask you this then. That was a great, I mean, I consider you been, a great college quarterback. Did you have any tryouts, anything in the NFL or thereafter the college?
Yeah, pretty much what was going to happen was your lower round dudes, you pretty much know where you're going. Let me just keep this straight. I would have been starting my red shirt freshman year or my red shirt sophomore year. Okay. But Coach Snellenberger and my father could not get along. And my father was not your typical father. And he felt like he could tell anyone in the world how he felt. Now,
at 6'3" and almost 300 pounds, you goddamn right he could.
Well, but the problem is my dad, which played for Minnesota Vikings, Houston Oilers before he pro wrestled.
Cowboy,
my father played at University of Oklahoma. My father calling up Howard Schnellenberger and critiquing him on football would be like Howard calling my father and talking to him about some pro wrestling.
About a headlock takeover.
Like my Schnellenberger called my dad and say, "Hey, Mr. Watts, I appreciate you're an athlete," and they could have a fine talk. But if he would have sat there and said, "By the way, that I saw this match and I think it was written poorly, and you could do this with this character," my dad would say, "I think you could talk to my nutsack." Right? I hope you can bleep that. I said,
No,
we leave it in there, baby.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say sack. Wait, that doesn't help either, does it? Okay.
No, it don't. Go ahead.
Okay, well,
leave it alone.
Okay, but I'm tall. You got to remember that I'm tall, Ernest. That's how I get out of everything. Hey, Ernest, I'm tall and I'm a good kisser.
Ooh, well, I don't need to know that. Maybe Ray, he's a mark. Maybe Ray needs to know that.
I don't want to kiss him. I tell you, he's a hell of a lot more entertaining than you said he was going to be, Ernest.
I do like hugging you now. You're a lovable guy, like a brother.
I got long arms. I wrap all the way around a person. You know what I'm saying?
Now, speaking of wrapping around another man, let's go into your wrestling career.
Yes.
What age and when did you start wrestling? What year did you start wrestling?
Are you talking about pro or like amateur?
Just amateur. Just first starting out.
Amateur, I was in third grade.
Oh. Did you always know you were going to be a professional wrestler because your dad was heading that way?
No, it was no. That's not how it rolled at the Watts house. Wrestling was our source of income and our livelihood as a business. Wrestling was also a gift that did not have to keep on giving. And so what we did as children is we learned everything from putting up rings to selling t-shirts to turning off and off lights. I remember times when I'd be at arena at 10, 11 years old and my dad would go find out who's stealing. And then, we might be in a town and they don't know that we're kids. And we would go around and we would find out what ticket taker was opening the door and letting people in. And then by 12, I had the authority to fire them. Let me explain something to you. For me to have to fire a person at 12 years old, that's 65 years old and needs the money because they let 10 people in, they didn't know what to say. And then most of the time they said, "Who are you? You don't have the authority to fire me." And that's when they would get to meet my father. After the
Amarillo Slim, pal.
Amarillo Slim. Yeah. Well, let me tell you. But it was kind of crazy because my dad, like I said, he didn't pull any punches, but for him to let them know that they would never work in an event around there, and if it was a Ticketmaster person, because my dad was the largest Ticketmaster business in the Southeast, it was crazy. But then I saw what he said. So like I remember the first time I did it, and the guy goes, "I need this job. I'm 65 years old. I didn't save my money. Got Social Security, and I need extra money." And my father said, I understand. How many people are gate attendants here tonight? And he goes, there's probably about 30 of us. He goes, how many people did you let in? And he said, no more than 3. He said, Eric, how many? I said, Dad, when I was standing, 10. He goes, how long were you there? I said, just 10, 15 minutes. And he goes, sir, that's not right. He goes, are you talking about my son? And then, so that stopped that conversation. I go, no, sir, I don't have a reason to lie. And my dad said, I don't give a shit whether you let 1 in or 10. You reached into my wallet. Now, let me explain something to you. 10 times this many tickets. Now, what if you're not the only person letting people in? He goes, but your show is sold out. What does it matter to you? And he goes, because you don't get the economy. Not all my shows sell out. I have to still pay for the building. I still have to pay for the talent. I still got a company to run. He goes, so that's why you're 65 and you're broke and you need a job. That's not the way we're going to roll, because I came from I was like a Great Depression after baby. I learned. I was bagging groceries at 12 and I was paying my mama rent at 14. So you learn those things and see those things. So the reason why I'm telling you, we learned all about the business, but I'm telling you this, we did not step on any sport or have anything with less than perfect grades. Us, even amateur wrestling and basketball and football was an extra. School, chores, morals, respect, and attitude was the first of all things. And so it was a blessing to go to practice, football practice or basketball practice or amateur wrestling practice. It was a blessing. So I started in sports early, and I appreciate them. They weren't always fun or easy. I remember first tournament, I'm out there wrestling, and this kid comes up to me and they said, the kids next to me said, oh man, he's the best. This kid's the best. He's the best. I'm like, okay. And they go, just try to last as long as you can. This kid comes up to me and says, hey, Eric. I'm like, yeah. He goes, hey, don't put me in one of those sleeper holes. Okay. He goes, just don't do like a sleeper hole, nothing. And I looked, I'm like, this fool is scared to death. I'm going to kick his butt. I think he pinned me in about 3 seconds. But so think about it. I'm walking in as Cowboy Bill Watts' son. And surely if his dad owns a great pro wrestling promotion and my dad was known as a street eliminator fighter and everything else, I got to automatically be good. Bro, it took me 3 or 4 years to learn my height and different things before I started dominating. And I can't even remember the last time I had a loss on my record. But that came from years and years and years and years of getting my butt whipped and learning, because I was a tall, lanky guy, and especially these shorter, packful guys. It took me a second because you'd see how big they were or how strong they were. And they're like, there's no way I could win. But what you learn later on was it's how you use your tensile strength. And well, I don't even know why I'm saying this. You understand that more than anyone.
No, we want to hear. I want to hear from you.
No, but you understand about the kicks and the rotations and the links and extension. You understand the punching. You understand it all. So and especially if you get into any throws, getting underneath someone's hips and controlling their hips. All that stuff is learned and taught. So I will say, out of all things I've ever done, amateur wrestling gave me the most for this reason. I have never, amateur wrestling gave me this. I've never, ever looked to fight anyone, and I have never, ever not looked to defend myself due to what confidence amateur wrestling gave me. And I used it in football. I used it in basketball. I used it in business, that mentality.
Now, let me ask you this then. I don't know if you watch the product, what's out there now. If you do, which one do you watch? WWE or AEW or none at all?
It pains me. I don't watch any of them. And it's not because I'm jaded or upset. It's because wrestling, it was a part of my life. And when I watch it, I tell people this all the time. It wasn't just a business for our family. And I then became one of the talents. But I got to tell you, I'm a business employee of pro wrestling. I'm a talent of pro wrestling, and I might be one of pro wrestling's biggest marks. Because, brother, if you're not in love with it and you don't mark out with it, dude, I could watch a match. I would sit in the back and mark out for Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, or a big pop, with Hogan and Goldberg, or it didn't matter, when Diamond Dallas Page had got to that point with that big diamond cutter and he put up the sign and everyone's hitting it, and you were with him and you were watching the hill he had to climb. It's easy, to watch Ray or Hoovy or Benoit and Guerrero, dude. I lost.
Don't forget about the cat now.
Well, I didn't want to put you too far over. It's your show.
Okay, all right.
You know what I'm saying? What all did you want me to do? I'll kind of promo for you in 2 seconds.
But I got a good question for you. Growing up, being that your dad, what age were you when your father? Because he played in the NFL. Yep. Then he went into pro wrestling. How old were you then around that time he went into pro wrestling? Were you even around born?
Right. It's crazy. So I should know this. This is what I know. My dad came out of Oklahoma, went to the Houston Oilers, knocked out the coach. So he got traded to Indianapolis, which did not want him, that traded him to Minnesota. So my dad's at Minnesota playing. That's how a lot of those pro football players came into pro wrestling because of their relationship with my dad.
Yeah. Wait a minute. We're gonna get there. I want to know, how old were you when your dad transitioned from NFL
he wasn't
to pro
born
wrestling?
yet.
Let him tell me, Ray. I'm not talking to you.
No,
not a wrestler.
So what I'm saying is, my dad was a pro wrestler. He was done with pro football when I was born. Because my oldest brother was born in Minnesota. That's where he was. I was born in Oklahoma City. We did travel back and get our picture with Fran Tarkenton and stuff, but my dad was pro wrestling. My earliest ages, what I remember, is when my father was he decided to wrestle for a guy named Leroy McGurk that had the NWA territory in Oklahoma.
Yeah, I remember him, yeah.
And then my dad made such an impact, he made my father co-owner. And then from co-owner, because my dad was then now booking and wrestling, my dad bought Leroy McGurk out. And then he sat down with the NWA alliance and said, I'm leaving the franchise. And that's when it became Mid-South Sports.
And now this was the next question. Are you about how old then? How old were you then at that time?
When he
when he purchased and took complete control.
Probably 5, 6 years old.
5, 6. So you was there when one of my favorite football player came in, Ernest the Cat Ladd, right?
The Cat.
Did you ever meet him?
Bro, come on. My Mrs. Ladd still to this day talks to my dad, because my dad's the one that set him up with their accountant. Okay.
Oh, for real? Wow.
Yeah. There was a
wait a minute, hold up. So his wife is still living?
Oh, let's see. When I talked to my dad about her last, it was like 2 or 3 years ago. I haven't brought it up since, because there's some Hollywood people that were wanting to find wives and relatives to legends. Mm-hmm. And so I called my dad, and he called her, and I spoke with her, and she said, son, if you trust these people, I will trust these people. I will talk to them. So I spoke with her. Then after speaking with them, I said, I don't know if they're too serious, ma'am. And so she didn't. So I talked to him. But I've got great stories.
Wow.
Ernie the Cat Ladd was my dad's best friend. And they loved each other. And so I remember it had to be around, 67. It had to probably be around 83, 84. It's my dad, this is before pay-per-views. My dad decided to start having one big event once a year at the Superdome. And then it became a quarterly thing. This is before pay-per-views were a thing. And so my dad, so here my dad's got Muhammad Ali flying in.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? Well, my dad Muhammad Ali, bro, like this. I mean,
Yeah. Man.
We got my dad when we had our federation. My brother became the video producer. He did commentary, ref, but he became our executive producer. Muhammad Ali loved him so much that my brother went to go do some behind the scenes with Ali, and Ali said, "Joel, I'm gonna ask you to do something. This is for you and your father." He said, "I'm gonna go in the mosque and I'm gonna pray." And he goes, "That's the holiest place." He said, "But I'm gonna accidentally leave the door open. So if you want to videotape me kneeling and praying, please do." And so we had hours and hours and hours of Ali footage. I mean, we had people always calling us for Ali and Jerry Reed. But getting back to the thing, my dad told me this was hilarious. Now, this may not go over well with the audience, but I thought it is what it is. That's just a true story. So my dad's like, "Hey, son, come on, we got to get in the car." And it's stressful. We got all these people coming. Andre's coming in for the big show. Renting out the Superdome was unheard of for a pro wrestling event, right? And so he is trying to set the world on fire, right? And so we're going. He goes, "I gotta go get Big Cat. I gotta get Big Cat." Well, at this time, Cat was wrestling, but he was also co-booking, because every once in a while, my dad would bring in other people like Dusty Rhodes and him, and to co-book for fresh ideas, because every writer can get writer block, you know. And so he's like, "Let's go get Cat and Cookie, his wife." And I said, "Yes, sir. Yes, sir." So I jump in the Lincoln and we're going. And I know my job. As soon as we pull up to the airport, my job is to get out. "Hey, ma'am, how you doing? Mr. Ladd, grab the bags, open the door for Cookie, open the door for Mr. Ladd, pop truck, put the bags. Open the door, Cookie gets in, put the bags in, open the door for Big Cat. Big Cat goes, "No, you in the back." I'll go, "No, I mean, excuse me." I put him up in the front because my dad wanted to talk to him. I had the front door open. He goes, "You're up in the front." I go, "No, sir," because I'm saying I don't want to die today. My dad was a very good wrestler, but he was not always the nicest as a father. Let's just say that. Okay? And so I said, "No, sir." Now, listen, he's a big man. I respected him, but I would have probably tried to get him. I would have got my butt whipped fighting him, because I did not want to get in trouble with my father. And he goes, "Son, it'll be okay." And my dad goes, "Cat, hurry up and get your ass in the car." And I looked at him, he goes, and I got in the car, and my dad turned and goes, "What the hell are you doing?" Well, at that time, Cat slips into the back. And he goes, "Cat, what are you doing?" And he put his arm around Cookie, and he said, "Darling, I always told you when I made it to the top, I was going to find the fattest white cowboy to drive us to the show." He said, "Drive on, cowboy." And my dad, and we all started laughing. Thank God we started laughing. And my dad chauffeured him, to the show, just like he wanted. But
let me ask you this then. We all learn from the man that's in front of us, that was ahead of us. But most of the time it was our fathers.
Yes, sir.
What did you take from your father as a father to where you are as a father to your kids now?
What I've tried to take both the good and the bad, of course, right? So what I did, with all due respect, is I took everything that my father did that grew me, and I tried to instill it in a way that was more palatable. So I have never spanked my kids. Now, I'm not against spanking. I'm just not. I'm not against spanking. And my dad didn't spank us. It was a belt, and whatever. That's the discipline. Who cares? I mean, really, who cares? Everyone can do what they want, but I learned from my mother and my father. And what I learned from my mother was, if my mother looked at me and said, "Hey, listen, what you're doing is hurting me," I would start crying. And I started thinking about that. Now,
that was me too.
I also, though, my dad, when he was, if he just come home, because he's on the road all the time, and if it was time and he was going to discipline us, it was always in his room, take the position, rip the belt off, and nail you. And what sucked was most of the time when he was on the road, he had this belt he would wear that had sterling silver wrapped on the edges, and he always wore like a buckle that looked like he won a rodeo. And the damn belt would hit you, and then the buck would hit you, and the belt would and he would nail you about 5 times. And if he went too low, he would blame it on us moving, and it would split your legs open a little bit. And you remembered it for a long time. But I also learned a lot from that, right? But I also learned that the lesson could be taught both ways. But I'm going to tell you, I wouldn't have been the same father today if I didn't get both.
Yeah.
Vision. Now, I don't know if I did right or wrong. I will tell you, I've had my kids do wall sits. Like, no, get down here. And start crying and falling, crying and falling, and crying and falling. No, your butt back up on the wall. You know, it was just a different way because I wanted to make sure that they understood respect, duties, your word, character building, whatever it is. But I never wanted them to fear. I didn't want them to fear me physically. I wanted them to honor and respect me mentally. And so I've got to thank my father for that. It can't be easy. Plus, I wasn't home much when they're young. My dad was hardly ever home. Right?
Wow.
And so I had a different relationship, and we had different communications. There was a lot, plus, Kat, let me say this. Back when my dad was wrestling, there were no cell phones. There was no internet. So like me on the road, I could text my own kids, I love you. You could do so much more to stay in connection. It's tough when your dad wrestles 300 plus days a year, and the few days he's home, he's unhappy. He's beat up. I remember one time I got my butt whooped because he wanted the pool kept at a certain temperature. Now, we had a pool that was junior Olympic sized pool with this huge kiddie pool together, and under the water was this tile wall. And from the helicopter, the plane, it looked like a cowboy hat because it was Cowboy Erik Watts' house, but he wanted a certain temperature, and he came home from a 10-day road trip. And I mean, his head looked like a hamburger. I think it was a run where him and Dusty were doing Texas death matches every night, cutting each other open with the cowbells and stuff. Arms are bent up. Listen, I try to do my best. He stepped in the water. He was all bandaged up. He just wanted to lay in his big pool. And all of a sudden, he starts bleeding in the pool. Eric, come here. What's the temperature of the pool? It's too damn cold. You made me bleed. Get the belt. I'm like, listen. I made you bleed. It looks like someone threw a half a pound of ground meat on your damn head. Those Band-Aids weren't stopping nothing. You should have gone to Red Cross first and donated some blood. But all I said was, yes, sir.
So Ray, you got any question for
Mr. Watts? I know it wasn't easy on you following your father's footsteps into wrestling. You debuted in 92, but you went on a hell of a run to start, kid. You beat everybody.
Well,
if you did beat them, you time limit drawed them. I mean, Stunning Steve. I mean, you got them all. And I think in WCW, if I want to remember correctly, you wrestled a young Levesque, if you will, Mr. Levesque. Yeah. And
I'll give you a great story on Levesque. And if you guys ever bless me with coming back, we could open up a lot of great stories. But on Levesque, so Levesque had just got to WCW. He wasn't there long, right? And so we had some matches together. And I remember him coming in. Now, he respected the sport so much, but his mentor was Killer Kowalski. And so Killer was with him. Killer and my dad are very good friends. So I think he I think he respected the sport, but then there's the Watts factor and Kowalski factor and all that. So I remember I said, hey, tonight I want to pull this out. You know how the luchadors grab the hand, go under, work the arm, and then they run to the top rope, open the buckles, jump, and arm drag. He said, you can do that? I go, yeah, I think I can do that. He goes, man, that's dangerous. He goes, if you slip, you're down and you break your neck. He goes, but brother, he goes, if you believe in yourself and you can do it, let's do it. I said, yeah. Man, ran up that thing, tossed him. He took a huge bump. And once we got back, he goes, wow, that's incredible. That's incredible. And the funny thing about it is, about 4 days later, I was off and I was at the school working out, and I did it 2 or 3 times. One time I did it and I did exactly what he said, slipped, and I came straight down on my head, dang near broke my neck. I said, well, I'm taking that one out of my repertoire. But here's the deal. So when I'm leaving WCW, okay, we're in Jacksonville, Florida, a very good town per se for me. Jacksonville, Florida was. And Dusty Rhodes had called in and said, hey, this is what we want to do. Erik Watts is going to go over on Levesque. It's a house show. Now
he said, "You listen, you understand." Eric's going over Levesque tonight, baby.
Hey, Ray, cut it out. Let him
come on, baby. This is what he is. He's the new bull in the woods, if you will.
If you will.
If you will. So I'm there. Well, there's a guy named Kevin Sullivan. And Kevin was the road agent. And now, again, my upbringing, you're always watching what's going on. You're always observing the room. So Kevin comes in, brings Paul, me in, and goes, hey, listen, this is what is supposed to happen. Dusty wants Watts to beat you in the middle with his STF. It's his last show, to thank him, for busting his butt, and good luck on the next territory, right? He goes, but let me tell you, Dusty is a role model and mentor to me, but he must be a little confused, or maybe he likes Cowboy Bill Watts too much. He goes, because anytime you leave a territory, you job on your way out, which is 100% true. It's 100% true. You are supposed to job out your whole time. So now I'm watching this guy, and so basically he's sending a message trying to crap on me, and he doesn't get it. Oh, I understand what you're saying, but there's another rule. If the booker or the boss tells the road agent what to do, that better uphold too. So I understood. He said, so what I want you to do tonight is I want you to beat Erik in the middle with his STF. And so that was the big FU. So I looked, I said, yes, sir. I didn't react. I've been around the business too long. What am I going to react to, bro? If that's the pool you want, I hate it for you. I hate it for you, because you're going to have to report to someone, and those people are traditional wrestlers too, and they're going to rip your head off. Not that you care, but you'll pay your price. It's not for me to say. Paul, when he left, he goes, absolutely no way. He goes, absolutely no way. He goes, I refuse to use your move. Now, this dude, think about this. He needs his job at WCW. He hasn't been here that long, but he had such respect for the business. He's like, that's not how that goes. He's 100% right. He goes, he said, this is what we'll do. We'll do a spot. You go in for the STF. I'll small package you 1, 2, 3 out. I said, bro, beat me with my finish. He goes, Erik, that's not the way the business has been built or should be built on. I said, bro, don't do this to yourself. He goes, please, bro, what would you do in my situation? We went out and we had the match, and that's exactly what happened. And that showed me that kid's future and where he's at. And that's why I don't know what people feel or don't feel about him, but me as a truist and a realist and a historian, which he is, God bless that he's where he's at, married to who he's married to, and the position he's at, because he truly does. Now, people have all their opinions about everybody. You know, Vince, Dusty, Gagne's, Graham's, Cowboy Bill Watts's, heard them all. But I will say, we've got a true historian type pro wrestler in charge up at WWE. Now, before I get off the phone, I just want to ask you, Kat, something. Do you only have one pair of red slippers, and where do you keep them?
I got a couple of pair of red slippers, and I keep them right in a box underneath my bed, just in case somebody break in. Yeah, they're my weapons.
Okay, and do you have any in the size 14?
I got size 14 for you.
Yeah. Okay. I just want. Okay. I just want to make sure because Hollywood Tyrone told me. Hollywood the Globetrot. What?
Tyrone.
This is your show.
Tyrone. No, I like it. Tyrone is one of my best friends. I've been knowing him for years. He talked highly of you, boy. Y'all met one time, and I'm a little angry. You want me to tell you why? Because I was his favorite wrestler until he met you.
No, hey, no, listen. Let me show you where that went. And this is all because of you. We were warming up at a celebrity golf tournament. We talked to each other, and he goes, "Hey, I got a great friend, and he means the world to me, and he pro wrestled. I want to just ask you the name, and I just wanted to know, do you know him?" I said, "What?" I said,
"Oh, yeah."
He said, Ernest Miller. I said, Ernest Miller. So then I said, this is exactly what I said. Now, listen, there's all these people, they're taking pictures and all this. I said, give me something that I can embarrass him with. He goes, I just said he's my friend. I go, that's okay. I'm his friend too. Give me some dirt, right? So he said, hey, let's call him. He called. I don't know if you know this. So after that, him, me, Otis Nixon did a appearance the next week at Shaquille O'Neal's basketball camp.
Yeah.
And so I got there and I looked at him. I said, can I ask you something? And he said, yeah. I said, man, my kids mean the world to me. They just mean the world. I'll do anything for my kids. I said, and my girl's going into her senior year at the Naval Academy. She's a really good basketball player, but she's always looking for extra tips. And he said, so what you need me to do? I said, would you work out with her for maybe an hour and just show her some things that you see? And he goes, it would be my honor. I said, well, where do you live? And he told me where he lived. And I said, well, if I find a gym near there, he goes, if you find a gym, I will show up. I'm going to tell you this right now. He was there an hour and a half. I videotaped all the different things. I know how good he is. I did not know his technical and coaching stuff. He taught my daughter a few things that no coach ever taught her that she's using right now. Matter of fact, my daughter plays tonight at 7:00 at night. And right before I had gone to this place, I went to Dick's Sporting Goods to get a basketball and buy a Sharpie. And they all the basketball, because I wanted one of those leather ones with the white autograph balls.
Yeah,
they didn't have any. And I had a silver Sharpie. Man, there was a black ball. I bought the dang thing. Well, it has like extra grip on it, right? It's so grippy. I brought that ball, and it ended up being the perfect thing. He wrote an autograph to my daughter. They sat there with hour and a half. We had a gym to ourselves. He has kept in touch with me ever since then. What a great person, and really. That's because of you. That's because of you.
That dude is great, man. Listen, let me tell you something. He could not play for our university because he was so far advanced. Our coach at my college used to think that I asked him, I said, why don't you play Tyrone? He's one of the best players in the city. He said, he's too fancy for me. It wasn't that he was fancy. You know, he was just ahead. Now he was doing what everybody's doing now. He was just that smart of a basketball player. And man, listen, he's one of the greatest guys, man. He's a good person. I mean, we've been friends for 20 years.
Man, what a great friend. And thank you, because like I said, he looked at me and he goes, you want me to go work out with your daughter? I go, look, I've never been afraid to ask. And he goes, that's fine, man. He goes, he told me where he lived when my daughter flew in. And me and my daughter were laughing about it because she goes, Daddy, I get taught by so many people and I've been to so many camps. He goes, there are 3 things that man showed me in that 1 hour that I have practiced over and over. And she goes, Daddy, that's separation. And I mean, he taught her like the hands, the way he worked on other people's hands. She goes, we're taught that we're going to get called foul. And he's like, no, that's the problem. These coaches don't know. Yes, if you hit this way, but if you tap down, and he goes, now that gives you an extra step, and how to step into someone and step back. Well, she stepped in and stepped back, but he said, no, your angle's like 2 degrees off. And she goes, what? So I had the videotape, and then I showed her. He just dialed that digit like this, and then all of a sudden she had an extra foot. Drain him because she can hit underneath. She can hit 3-pointers.
How tall is your daughter?
6'1".
Wow, I hear she's a beautiful young lady and she a baller. I hear she can really play.
So yeah, there's rumors going on too, man, that she went on a workout too. Now the Naval Academy owns her for 5 years. Once you go through the academy, you owe them 5 years. But someone has told me, which we cannot tell anybody else, but I'd heard that there was some kind of workout at some big pay-per-view by WWE or someone like that, and there's something that in the works. They're trying to talk to the academy about something.
What do you think she would say about wrestling, becoming a wrestler?
What I'm scared she's going to say, or what I want her to say? I'm scared to say, Daddy, you did, so should I. But let me tell you, she's at the top of her class in cybersecurity at the Naval Academy.
That's awesome.
She went 4.5 years ago there, so you understand, she was an employee when she went there. So when she graduates this May, I'm going up there. It's a week-long graduation. Do you understand that she's going to be in cybersecurity, eventually making a few $100,000 a year, and she only has 16 more years or 15 and a half more years until she retires. She can retire. She can retire at age 37.
I don't know. I know you sound good, Eric, but that pro wrestling career, boy, especially when it's in your blood, think about what would your father say about something like that?
But that's what I'm saying. I can't and I won't say anything. This is what I tell my baby. This is what I tell my baby, okay? I'm going to tell you, thank God no one's going to hear this. You're not recording, are you? You're not recording, are you? Please don't record this. But I'm telling you, if she was standing right here, I would say, baby, whatever you choose, it's your life. And I was bright-eyed entrepreneur head. I had my own trajectory in my life. I want you to follow your dreams. Okay. I want you, and I will be here to support you. As soon as she walked out of the room, I would say, Ernest, what the hell is she doing, man? Can you talk her out of it? I'm a real man. I won't face my daughter. I'm going to
my goodness.
You in Hollywood now. You in Hollywood got to talk to her.
Hey, let me ask you this right here. Suppose she wanted to have that conversation with her grandfather. Did she have any kind of connection or relationship?
No. They talk. They talk occasionally, right? I'm telling you how crazy this is. The way I do my stuff is very disciplined. I do not ask her other conversations. I am a sounding board. I've done what I believe as a father should do until she was a senior. She is a woman. She's in the military. My son graduated business school. He's doing his thing. And I am not here in their life to tell them what they need to do or not do, or that would mean I'm a bad father. I've already told them what they should and shouldn't do, meaning ethically, morally, business-wise, stand to yourself. Integrity is the only thing that really matters, which means your actions equal your words. At this point, bro, they're flying. Now, if they ask me, it is then appropriate for me to give my 2 cents, meaning I'm not scared one way or the other. I don't want to deflect them because I remember how I was, man. My dad, I would have been mad if my dad said, hey, I know you got the scholarship. You ain't going to go play pro football. I need you in Mid-South.
Yeah.
You know, like and remember, we were very good friends with the Von Erichs, and all that other stuff. We were there very close, and everybody else, man. But those guys would show up at our house. Carrie would be there, showing my brother the discus and the shot put. My brother won state. Carrie was going to go to the Olympics. Had the Cold War not happened and the Olympics not go, he's going to the Olympics. So we're a very tight family. Those guys were all going into pro wrestling. Bro, I'm telling you, my mother said to us, and there was a rule. No one can enter into the ring to wrestle without a college scholarship, period. I mean, a college degree. So she said, guys, that's all we're around. The Ganyas, the Grahams, the Harts, the all this. It's great who makes it. But what if you don't make it? What is on your resume? What other skills do you know other than pro wrestling that's going to get you by in this world? So don't put all your eggs in one basket, right?
Amen.
So that's where I'm at. That's where I've always been. That's where my kids are at. But I am not here to tell my children, you are not going to do this, because they are men and women now. It would have crushed me if my dad, and we would have probably had a sticking point. He probably would have beat my ass. I would have been a wrestler because I was scared of him. Still am. But
how's he doing? How is he doing now?
You know what? That man did so much. I remember when he did the Stampedes Alive in '85. He did a comeback tour, and then he did another comeback tour in '87. So that man has wrestled more matches and things. And so I'm telling you, he's had the back surgery. One of his lungs quit working. They don't know why. About 4 years ago, he doesn't leave. He's constantly in pain, needs oxygen,
I'm sorry to hear that.
Oh, no, I know. No. I'm sorry, because as sick as he's not sick. He's beat up, but he's not sick. He's still pretty big dude. I'm still just mad that I'm not sure whether I could take him. Because when I was at his house, I was like, listen, are you sure we can't go walk without the oxygen, man? I mean, honestly, let's see how far you can push it. Because I was hoping maybe I could take him out. He told me when I was a kid, he said, son, he was 16 years old, 17 years old. This is exactly what he told me. He said, son, there's going to come a day when I'm old and I'm in a wheelchair, and you're going to wonder, maybe I can take him. Because let me explain something to you. Even when we get to that hill and you're looking over it and you think, I can just let go of the wheelchair. Understand, son, you may kill me, but I've already paid someone to take you out if you do. I'm like, I love you. I love you, Daddy.
Well, on that note, listen, we're going to have you back, man.
Absolutely.
Inside the studio.
Been great.
We can have some fun. You see, we can talk to each other easy. Yeah. And I learned a lot, man. I knew you was a talented wrestler. I know your family. And I did not want to talk about your dad as much, because this is about you.
Absolutely.
But you did a great job telling us your story. And I'd like to thank you for that. And Ray, we're going to get you to hit the recite commercial. And then we're going to let my man, Mr. Watts, go. Okay, we're going to click Ray off right now.
All right. Recite, your one-stop shop for all your construction needs. There's only the number to call. One call does it all. It's Recite. Thanks for coming on, Mr. Erik Watts. We learned a lot today. We learned first and foremost, you're a great father. That's undeniable. And that's, something that I strive to be. I have a son that's playing college basketball at Pfeiffer University. He's playing tonight also at 7:00. We're about to hit the road. It's about 4 hours. So we learned that you are a son of a famous pro wrestler who was wrestling 5 years before you were born. 62, for clarification, was when he debuted in wrestling. 62.
Nice.
And you were born in 67. So that's
true.
So
anyway, and you also learned that I am tall and I'm a good kisser.
Absolutely. And you wrap around.
I wrap around. And the conduct. Hey, but don't let Ernest get off this interview without telling that he's a tough dude. But we talked, and I said, I'm going to get off the phone, but I got to tell you like I tell all my friends. He goes, no, I'm telling you, I love you, bro. I go, I was getting ready to say that.
Hey, Ray, tell it, how many people have we ended the conversation like that, from Goldberg to Stevie Ray? How many times do we
say it, baby? We always say the same thing. We'll see you down the road, baby. We'll see you
Amen.
down the road.
Amen. Good luck on your son's game. Thank you,
Yes,
guys.
sir.
It was a blessing.
All right, thanks for
Thank
coming.
you for joining us to Cat's Corner.
You got it.